After every call with his boss, he would throw his phone on the ground, then stomp it to pieces. And he almost only eats McDonald's-type food, takeout fast food. When lining up to order, he deliberately avoids facing the crowd. He even sets an alarm early every time he sleeps, to make sure he never sleeps more than half an hour. As a highly trained professional assassin, Mike knows details decide life and death, so he is always careful, meticulous in everything, striving to make no mistakes at all. However, this time, while carrying out a sniper mission, a hot woman suddenly appeared in his scope. He could not help but glance a few extra times, and his heart rate immediately shot above 100. Mike knew very well in this state, his shooting accuracy would drop sharply, so he immediately adjusted his breathing and brought the crosshair back onto the target. Only when his heart rate dropped to the optimal level did he confidently pull the trigger. Mike wanted to fire another shot, but the bodyguard across the way was just as professional and pulled the curtains immediately. Realizing the mission had failed, Mike did not dare waste a second, quickly packed his gear and prepared to retreat. His movements were fast but not panicked. Clearly he had prepared an emergency plan in advance. He picked up the shell casing from the ground, put on his helmet and hurried downstairs, got on the motorcycle he had prepared earlier, and brushed past the police arriving downstairs. The escape route Mike chose was made up of relatively quiet side roads, easy to stay hidden, and convenient for disposing of tools. Seeing a garbage truck parked ahead, he simply threw the backpack with the gun directly into it. After riding some distance, Mike abandoned the motorcycle on his own and casually tossed the helmet into the river, following him to a convenience store. Using borrowing the restroom as an excuse, he quickly stripped off his clothes and repeatedly washed every inch of his skin, trying to remove any lingering gunpowder smell, then changed into a tourist outfit. Before leaving, he even sprayed some perfume on the sink to cover his traces. Next, he flagged down a random taxi by the road and rushed non-stop to the airport, and before going inside, he pulled out his last self-defense handgun, carefully wiped away the fingerprints, and threw it into a trash can. But even though he had no suspicious items left on him, when going through security, seeing the police dog at the entrance staring straight at him, Mike could not help but feel a trace of worry, so he quietly left the line, turned and went into the restroom, and once again thoroughly cleaned his entire body. After all, this was about life and death, and he could not afford to take risks. Then he used a forged ID to successfully check in for his flight, but at this moment he received a call from his boss.
How could this happen? It's unprecedented.
It happened.
Is that what you suggest? I informed the client. It happened. This is a problem. Obviously, it's a fucking problem. I'll offer to make it right as
Mike knew better than anyone that for an assassin, once a mission fails, what awaits is not just revenge from the target. Sometimes it can even bring a kill order from the employer, so he did not dare relax at all. After hanging up, he immediately pulled out the SIM card and stumped the phone into pieces to prevent being tracked. After boarding the plane, Mike remained on high alert. He constantly watched his surroundings and soon noticed a suspicious man wearing sunglasses who seemed to be watching him secretly. And during the transfer, Mike was surprised to find that this guy had also booked a connection, and even more coincidentally, the two later met again in the same waiting area, which meant they were on the same flight again. Mike instantly sensed danger, so he decisively chose to rebook, temporarily checked into an airport hotel, and immediately ordered himself a hearty dinner. But he was not really hungry. He was looking for something to defend himself. He wedged a glass against the door handle and placed a tray lid underneath. A simple alarm device was completed. Then he picked up a dinner knife and placed it beside him just in case, and sat on the sofa through the night. Fortunately, nothing happened that night. Early the next morning, Mike carefully checked around the room, confirming the sunglasses man did not appear again. Only then did he set off with peace of mind. After boarding the plane smoothly, he soon arrived at his destination. His pickup truck was parked outside the airport. Although from the current situation, it seemed he had successfully escaped, Mike still did not let his guard down along the way. To ensure absolute safety, he cautiously changed routes several times, even detouring around much of the city. After many twists and turns, he finally drove the car to a secluded villa in the suburbs. But just as he reached the entrance, he noticed something unusual. There were two suspicious footprints on the ground, and many cigarette butts scattered nearby. Clearly someone had been staking out the place. Mike felt his heart tighten, and immediately realized his wife alone at home might be in danger. So he quickly took out the handgun from the car, then vaulted over the fence, using the bushes as cover, and sprinted toward the house. Sure enough, the same footprints appeared in the yard, which meant the intruders had already broken in. But when he rushed inside anxiously, holding his gun and searching every corner, he did not see a single person. Looking at the mess inside the house, and the bloodstains everywhere, Mike grew more and more uneasy. He hurriedly called his wife, and only then learned she was seriously injured, and had already been taken to the hospital. When Mike rushed there, his wife lay on the hospital bed barely alive. The sight was almost unbearable. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Later, from his brother-in-law description, Mike pieced together what had happened. The attackers were a man and a woman. They suddenly broke into the house. His wife thought it was a robbery, but did not expect they were not after money at all. Without a word, they went straight for the kill, beating her until she was barely alive, then escaped in a green taxi.
They came for you, and they weren't about to leave a witness.
Marcus, listen very carefully. I promise, I swear to you, nothing like this will ever be allowed to happen again.
After settling his wife, Mike immediately returned home and dug up the various hidden equipment in the yard. No matter who the bastard behind this was, they had clearly crossed Mike's bottom line. Anyone who dared touch his family, he would never let it go. Mike drove his pickup around the streets for several days and finally spotted the green taxi, but he did not rush to act. Instead, he quietly noted the company it belonged to. Late at night when everything was quiet, Mike came to the company entrance, pretending to have business to consult, and tricked the night guard into opening the door. Taking advantage of the moment, he quickly put on a hood and pulled out his gun, and easily subdued the guard. Then, in the computer system, he pulled up all taxi order records, and soon found the car that had gone to his house. Then, using the license plate information, he successfully locked onto the driver, a young guy with curly hair. After getting all the clues he wanted, Mike deliberately trashed the duty room and took the cash from the money box, staging the scene as a robbery. Only then did he leave at ease. The next day, Mike waited outside the company early. Sure enough, before long, he saw the curly-haired guy clocking in for work. After confirming the target, he disguised himself as an ordinary passenger and naturally got into the guy's car. But before the car had gone far, Mike silently pulled out his gun.
Oh shit, man. I just thought alguna moneda lo único que tengo. I'll show you, okay?
Although this was not Mike's intention, it did help confuse things, so he casually took the wallet. Then Mike asked the guy if he remembered a big order from 3 days ago. The guy did remember it. He recalled the passengers were a man and a woman. The man was fierce like a beast, the woman pale like a cotton swab. They left from a private airport and navigated straight to a secluded villa deep in the woods. They stayed inside for about an hour, then rushed straight back to the airport. The guy spilled everything he knew, all at once, only hoping Mike would spare his life. But someone who tells everything, how could Mike possibly let him live?
I walk back.
Before leaving, Mike deliberately took the guy's radio and staged the scene as a robbery murder. And next, Mike's target was the boss of the assassin organization, because the guy had said the two assassins went straight to his house following navigation, which meant they already had the exact address, and only the boss knew his address. So Mike took a flight to a warehouse in New Orleans. This was both his safe house and his armory. Inside were all kinds of weapons and ammo, fake IDs and fake license plates, everything you could want. But before taking action, Mike still went to a department store and specifically bought a large trash bin and some cleaning supplies. Because the boss's office building had extremely tight security, entry and exit required facial recognition, so he disguised himself as a janitor and followed behind a delivery guy, openly mixing his way inside. The elevator quickly reached the target floor, but seeing the courier continue walking inside, Mike was not in a hurry to follow. Instead, he silently counted in his head. 7 seconds later, the glass door would lock automatically, which meant to slip inside. There were only 7 seconds, so Mike quickly stepped forward to check and found the recipient was the boss's secretary. When he saw the courier come out, he hurried to the faucet and pretended to drink water. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and did not arouse suspicion. Just before the glass door closed, Mike hurriedly wedged it with his foot. Then he carried his gun and toolbox and slipped inside without a sound. By the time the secretary noticed, Mike was already right in front of her, facing the gun of a top-tier assassin. The secretary had no choice but to obediently lead him into the boss's office. Regarding Mike's arrival, the boss was surprised, but still remained very calm. Mike took zip ties from the toolbox, handed them to the secretary, signaling her to tie the boss's hands first, then tie herself in the bathroom.
This will be resolved in a moment, darling, I promise you. Once he realizes the folly of his actions.
Then Mike picked up a construction nail gun and walked straight up to the boss.
Yes. The fuck? That's just juvenile.
Mike intended to threaten the boss into revealing the identities of the assassins who hurt his wife, but the man brushed it off, saying all assassin records were stored on the computer Mike had just destroyed. For such nonsense, Mike of course did not believe a word.
Unless...
Next, Mike took out his phone and let the boss make a choice. Call for help and live, on the condition he hands over the assassin information. Otherwise, he would slowly wait to die. Seeing the boss struggle and fall to the floor, Mike immediately laid down a newspaper to prevent blood from staining the floor.
I need that information, Edward. And you are running out of time.
Fuck.
3 number 9 steel nails pierced the chest. Normally a non-smoking middle-aged man could last at least 6 to 7 minutes. Unexpectedly, the boss was so weak. In less than a minute, he suffocated to death on the spot. But Mike was not panicked at all, because he had prepared for this. The large trash bin he bought earlier was more than enough to hold the boss's body. After handling the scene, Mike thought this trip would be fruitless, but unexpectedly the secretary tied in the bathroom gave him a pleasant surprise.
I have the names you're looking for. I know who they were. But before I give them to you, I want something in return.
The secretary did not dare hope to survive. She only wanted Mike to kill her in an accidental way, so her children could receive a large insurance payout. Mike did not respond directly. He simply untied her restraints, then took the trash bin with the body, and left with the secretary by elevator, during which 2 other people entered. But the secretary knew Mike's methods, and did not dare call for help. Seeing their serious expressions, a passerby could not help joking.
Need any help getting rid of that body?
Then the two returned to the secretary home. With her help, Mike quickly found his order card. On the back appendix of the card were 2 wire transfer numbers, and the account owners were the Beast Man and the cotton swab woman chasing him. Following this lead, Mike not only found their addresses, but also unexpectedly learned the identity of the client behind them.
Claiborne.
Client.
After getting the information he wanted, Mike caught the secretary off guard and instantly snapped her neck. This death looked like an accidental fall, which fulfilled her wish. But dealing with the boss's body was not so easy. He first took the body back to the garage, dismembered it with tools and dissolved it, then drove to the dock and threw the undissolvable remains into the sea. After that, he thoroughly cleaned the vehicle, changed the fake license plate and returned it. Then, using a new fake identity, he rented a new car and continued on his path of revenge. The first person Mike went after was the Beast Man. Before every action, he always scouted in advance. Seeing the other man kept a dog at home, Mike rushed to the supermarket and bought some premium beef, a large amount of sleeping pills, and a bottle of malt liquor. Late at night, when everything was quiet, Mike immediately began his operation. But before he could get close, the pit bull charged out fiercely, barking wildly at him. But after Mike fed it beef mixed with sleeping pills, the pit bull quickly felt drowsy and obediently turned back to sleep. Still, Mike was not reassured and waited outside a bit longer before cautiously sneaking into the yard. Seeing the pit bull already asleep at the door, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. But unexpectedly, as soon as he entered the house, a dark figure lunged at him. The other party launched a sudden attack with extremely ferocious moves. Mike was careless for a moment and was caught completely off guard.
You picked the wrong house, motherfucker.
Facing a power-type opponent like the Beast Man, a head-on fight offered almost no chance of winning. So Mike seized an opening, grabbed an iron hook by the bed, and stabbed it hard into the man's head. But unexpectedly, this guy was tough, not only enduring the pain to break free, he even managed to grab his gun first. Seeing this, Mike sensed danger and quickly hid behind a cabinet, successfully dodging the incoming bullets. Then he deliberately made noise to distract the opponent and took the chance to run into the previous room. The Beast Man staggered closer, still shouting arrogantly, not knowing that inside, Mike had already gotten his gun. Unfortunately, the gunshots woke up the pit bull outside, facing the dog charging over. Mike did not dare waste a second. He immediately turned and ran, fortunately reacting fast enough. He slammed the iron gate shut at the last moment. Then he lit the malt liquor bottle he had prepared and hurled it into the house to destroy the evidence. Although the dog was a witness, Mike believed it would never say a word. After dealing with the Beast Man, Mike had no time to rest and rushed non-stop to New York because he knew very well he had to take care of the next target. Before news of the Beast Man death spread, Mike continued his usual cautious style, first renting a car under a fake identity, then staking out and tailing. Mike waited like this from daytime into night and finally saw the cotton swab-like female assassin mentioned by the curly-haired driver. The description was indeed accurate. Mike followed her the whole way while waiting at a traffic light. He deliberately pulled his car alongside, then took out his gun and was ready to act immediately. But just at that moment, a siren sounded in the distance, so Mike had to hold off. After following for a bit longer, he saw her enter a high-end restaurant. Mike realized the opportunity had come and decisively followed her inside.
Wait.
The instant she saw Mike, the cotton swab woman clearly realized she would not leave alive today. As a professional assassin, she had long been prepared for this, but when the day truly arrived, the despair and unwillingness still left her gasping for breath. She begged Mike to let her finish her last meal. After downing a glass of whiskey, she tentatively said she was just doing a job for money and had no personal grudge with Mike. When the Beast Man attacked Mike's wife, she had even tried to dissuade him. However, no matter how she argued, Mike remained unmoved.
This could have been a hit and run, carjacking, me falling on the ice. Yet here you are. Why take this risk? You're here because you couldn't help yourself.
The cotton swab woman believed Mike came at such risk, not only for revenge, but also to enjoy the thrill of killing up close, a special fetish many assassins share. Mike took the glass and drank it all, both agreeing with her words and sending her off. Then the two went outside the restaurant. Walking forward along the riverside path, they needed to find a secluded spot, and just as they went down the steps, the cotton swab woman slipped. She turned back and gestured for Mike to be a gentleman and give her a hand, but instead Mike stepped forward and fired a shot. Though he felt a hint of mutual respect, it did not mean he would lower his guard. At this point, Mike had only one last target left, the client who placed the order, Claiborne. But this man was a wealthy and powerful public figure, living in a luxury apartment with strict security and always accompanied by bodyguards. Clearly, the assassination would be very difficult, but Mike had no intention of stopping. One day, while the driver was out and the garage shutter had not yet closed, Mike quietly slipped inside, trying to enter the apartment through the garage. But the inner door was locked tight. Without a resident access card, it was absolutely impossible to open. But this did not stump Mike. He took a photo of the electronic lock model with his phone, then ordered a magnetic card copier online. After it arrived the next next day, Mike followed Claiborne to a gym. While passing by a guard, he slipped the electronic key from his waist. Then Mike went to the locker room, used the key to open Claiborne's locker, and found the access card in his clothes. Quickly copying one, then once again waiting until late at night, Mike entered through the garage, used the copied card to open the electronic lock. Not long after entering the apartment, he silently appeared in front of Claiborne.
Who the f... How did you... Okay.
Is this not supposed to be a secure apartment? Looks like I will not renew next year. Claiborne thought he was being robbed and hurriedly said there was no cash here, but he could arrange for money to be delivered immediately. Only when Mike took out the order card did Claiborne realize this was the assassin he had hired. But in fact, regarding the failed assassination, Claiborne did not take it seriously at all. It was the assassin boss who contacted him and suggested buying insurance to avoid trouble, so he paid $150,000 as cleanup money. As for what happened afterward, he was completely unaware.
What I'm trying to say here, and I can't express this strongly enough, I have no issue with you. Zero. As far as I'm concerned, we're good.
Only then did Mike realize that everything had been orchestrated by the boss. He wanted to take the chance to warn him. No wonder he refused to talk no matter what. After learning the full truth, Mike did not continue to entangle, but turned and prepared to leave.
If I have to come back, maybe a radioactive Beck on the lip of your favorite coffee mug. Slow death, mind you, from painful facial necrosis, or a tragic misstep into your penthouse elevator shaft. But I promise, I'll find something fitting.
Mike believed Claiborne would not be stupid enough to provoke an assassin who could come and go from his home at will. After eliminating all threats, Mike returned home, and together with his wife who had recovered and been discharged, lived a peaceful and happy life. But as a top-tier assassin, how long could this peace really last?